Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic. Could that pick and roll combination be the key to success against the Los Angeles Clippers? This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. And don't forget to hit that notifications button so you know when the videos drop. Kristaps Porzingis met with the media today to discuss his feelings going into the rematch with the Los Angeles Clippers after last year. He averaged 23.7 points per game and over 52% from the field before missing the final 3 games of that series due to a torn meniscus. You remember the spectacular Game 3 that he had against the Clippers in the bubble where he went for 34 points and 13 rebounds. And although the Mavericks did not win that game, they went on to compete with the Clippers in that series and lose ultimately in 6 games, of course, with Luka Doncic hitting that ultimate buzzer beater in game number 4. But for Kristaps Porzingis, a little bit of a measure of redemption potentially for him going into this year, knowing how well he was playing in that series against the Los Angeles Clippers before ultimately succumbing to injury after he had torn that meniscus, what we came to find out happened in game number 1 in that series against the Los Angeles Clippers. This year, averaging over 20 points per game, over 9 rebounds for the Dallas Mavericks, played well in his final 3 games after coming back after missing the previous 7 due to right knee soreness. Kristaps Porzingis seems like he's in a good frame of mind for a team that finished 42-30 on the season and was 5th in the Western Conference this year. It's going to be important for Porzingis to continue to improve on what he did in the final 3 games of the year, especially given that it appears that his health isn't a question going into this series with respect to how he played in those final 3 games. But for Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, as much has been bantied about their relationship when it comes to their on-court chemistry on the court this year and throughout their time since Porzingis was acquired from the New York Knicks. At times, we've seen this duo be extremely good together, the apex being when they had that 46-point game that Luka Doncic had and Porzingis had the 36-point game. Together, they combined for 82 against the New Orleans Pelicans this year. That was the height and the apex of those two on the floor together. But what's going to be key for them in this series is how well they continue to grow that chemistry, especially in the pick and roll. Luka Doncic has formed a really strong partnership with Kristaps Porzingis, especially on pick plays. According to Second Spectrum, the Mavericks have averaged 1.8 points per direct pick when Doncic is the ball handler and Porzingis is the screener. That's the most efficient combination in the league among duos with 300 picks this season. That just tells you how the on-court chemistry is getting better between those two when it comes to Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. I asked Kristaps Porzingis about that very fact and how he is feeling about his on-court chemistry going with Luka, knowing that they are effective, especially in pick plays together. Here's what Kristaps Porzingis had to say.
Hey, KP, good to see you. You and Luka Doncic this year are the most efficient combination in the league among duos when it comes to pick plays this year. How would you describe your ongoing growth and chemistry with Luka, not only this season, but now going into the playoffs and having another opportunity to continue to grow that?
Yeah, I saw that stat. That's interesting. Yeah, it might not look like that, but it's what the numbers say. A lot of times, just by me setting the screen and popping, what people don't realize is I open up the drive for Luka or whoever. Is because the big doesn't really want to leave me, or I slip out the screen, and that way create some confusion for them. So. And that's easy 2 points, or if they then help late, then we get an open shot or whatever. So I just try to do whatever is best for the team, and play in the situations that I know can get my teammates open or create something good for us. So I really just wanna do whatever is best for us, and that's why I've been popping so much. That's why I've been around the 3-point line so much to create space for my teammates.
So Kristaps Porzingis saying, yeah, I know about that stat, and it just shows that I'm willing to do what it needs to do for not only Luka Doncic but also for this team to put them in the right position possible to succeed and being able to play in those certain situations. So that's going to be huge for Kristaps Porzingis, especially on the offensive end, where they're going to need him to be the second best player offensively for this team in this series. Defensively, it will be interesting because if the Clippers decide to go small with guys like Serge Ibaka or Marcus Morris at center, it could pull Porzingis away from the basket defensively and have to guard out on the perimeter. So there are going to be some different things that are going to be asked of Porzingis during this series, not only offensively, but more so defensively, and how at times he struggled this year in moving his feet and some of the knee bend that he had trying to be in defensive stances to guard folks because of the injury concerns that he was having during this year. But in the couple of games that he played against the Los Angeles Clippers, in the 109-99 loss back on March 15th, he had 22 points and 7 rebounds in that game. So you saw Porzingis be able to do things effectively on both ends of the floor, especially when he had the opportunities to do so. When you think about the game in March the 17th in that 105-89 win where Luka Doncic went off for 42 points and had his fourth 40-point game of the season, Porzingis was really good defensively that day. He had 11 points, 13 rebounds, and a couple of blocks for the Dallas Mavericks. So we know what Porzingis is capable of against this team, not only in the regular season this year in the couple of games that he played after missing the first one back in the first part of the season, but also what he did against the Clippers in the bubble. Dwight Powell also met with the media, and what we've seen from Dwight Powell and Kristaps Porzingis, with Porzingis playing at the 4 and the rim running of Dwight Powell playing at the 5, is a very effective combination between the two as they continue to grow together, with Porzingis primarily playing the 4 here recently, and Dwight Powell being effective not only with the rim running but providing the energy and hustle on the defensive end. I asked Dwight Powell about the communication that he and Kristaps Porzingis are having with respect to him playing primarily at the 5 position and Porzingis playing at the 4. Here's what Dwight Powell had to say.
Hey, Dwight, how would you describe the level of communication between yourself and Kristaps Porzingis when you're primarily playing the center position, and how that continues to grow with you guys in the lineup together playing the 4 and the 5?
Communication's high. I mean, KP draws a lot of attention, so it's good for me to know what to expect. So definitely keeping in his ear, and he's letting me what's going on at the same time. And defensively, he creates such a problem with guys getting to the rim. So being able to communicate, especially from us to our guards and vice versa, it's a big part of what we do.
So Dwight Powell saying, look, our communication is good. We continue to get better when it comes to how we're playing at the 4 and the 5 position, whether it be Porzingis at the 4 or with Dwight Powell at the 5. And he is going to be tested in this series because of the versatility of the bigs that the Los Angeles Clippers have when it comes to Ivica Zubac, who can rebound the ball extremely well, DeMarcus Cousins, and others in this lineup that can rebound the basketball and put pressure on you, especially from the perimeter, with multiple guys that can shoot the ball from the three-point line that are stretch 4s and 5s. So for the Dwight Powells and the Kristaps Porzingises of the world, this series is going to be extremely interesting on both ends of the floor for them, because primarily Porzingis is going to be effective on both ends of the floor, especially as he continues to shoot the ball well from the three-point line. And for Dwight Powell, his communication with Porzingis on both ends of the floor is going to be crucial for them defensively, so that they are not only rebounding the ball well against a good rebounding Clippers basketball team, but to ensure that they're creating extra possessions so they can get out on in transition against the Clippers to put pressure on them defensively, for a team and the Clippers as third in the NBA, or eighth in the NBA, I should say, in defensive rating this year. So this series is going to be extremely interesting on both ends. We all know about the storylines, which we talked about earlier this week, coming into this series. One of those storylines also is the fact that the Dallas Mavericks haven't won a playoff series in a decade, obviously, since winning the championship back in 2011. Rick Carlisle was spirited in his media availability today, as he has been constantly asked about the pressure of not only winning, but winning a series, because they haven't won one in a decade since winning that championship. Here's a fired up Rick Carlisle about the pressure of working for this Mavericks organization and what it means to win, and win big. Here's what Rick Carlisle had to say.
You know, when you're part of the organization like the Dallas Mavericks and there's a game scheduled, there's pressure to win that game. And when you come and work for this organization, you work for Mark Cuban, you got to be somebody that loves pressure. And I keep getting questions about, is there pressure to advance? Hell yeah, there's pressure to advance. And that's what this is all about. But you've got to love pressure, and you got to find ways to make pressure your friend. And this is a difficult series. It's a tough series. But we're a championship organization, And we're not just looking to advance one round of the playoffs. I mean, ultimately, our goal is always to win a championship. And so, we preach championship habits. And in our prep, we're getting ready for a team that is a great basketball team in the Clippers with two major superstars and a very well-constructed group of role players. And we're going to have to be on point. We're going to have to be right. And it's a great challenge, but we're looking forward to it, man.
So Rick Carlisle is saying, yeah, of course there's pressure. When you work for Mark Cuban, you work for this organization, there's pressure to win each and every time you get out onto the floor. And even more so, obviously, because this team hasn't won in a decade. And for Mavs folks on Mavs Twitter, on social media, when you jump in here in my comments on these videos here, we know how much pressure you're putting on this organization to try and win a championship. And trust me, Rick Carlisle and this organization are feeling it too, because they want to win a championship and not be attached to the stigma that was just 10 years ago, or be attached to a stigma that hasn't won a championship in 10 years, I should say. So now when you start moving forward for this Mavericks team going into this series, it's going to be crucial for them to continue to develop the on-court chemistry between Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, but also for Kristaps Porzingis, a happy Kristaps Porzingis is a productive Kristaps Porzingis. In fact, here's Porzingis talking about the idea that him and Powell have been working together and what it's like for him to continue to get on the same page with Dwight Powell. Here's more of what Kristaps Porzingis had to say.
Yeah, I'm kind of actually, I realize now with the practices now that, Dwight, me and Dwight were playing a lot, him at the 5, I'm at the 4. I'm more used to playing both positions now, just being on the perimeter from the beginning of the offense or being the trailer. And no matter what situation you put me in, I kind of found, little things that I can do and how I can be involved and some new plays that we have. So, I feel like no matter how, no matter how we're gonna match up or how we're gonna play, I'm gonna try to find ways how I can be productive within our offense and make the game easier for Luka and for the rest of the guys.
So you could tell that Kristaps Porzingis is getting more comfortable in playing the 4. He's always talked about the idea that he's wanted to play at the center position because he's more comfortable there. But when this team is rolling the way that they have been by finishing 33-16 in their last 49 games, especially in the later part of the season when Dwight Powell was inserted into the starting lineup at the center position, you saw what kind of role this team got on, and the rim running and effectiveness of Powell on the offensive end, coupled with Porzingis' ability to stretch the floor from the three-point line while at times putting the ball on the deck, but more importantly on the defensive end, affecting the basketball by altering shots and blocking shots. This team is starting to find themselves where they want to be as far as an offensive and a defensive identity. They're going to have to carry that into this series against the Los Angeles Clippers to give themselves the best opportunity to win this series, because any win in this series obviously is going to help with the confidence in the overall series, but a series win against the Clippers will be considered an upset. But at the same time, this is a talented team that's a deep team that can find themselves competing because, 1, they're not afraid of the Los Angeles Clippers, and 2, they know the kind of trash talk that they're going to see and the physicality that's going to come in this series. And it appears this Mavericks team is ready for it. All we have to do now is just wait and see once they get on the floor on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time in Los Angeles to see if all of this talk will come to fruition in terms of action on the court. We'll see. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And don't forget, you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.